What is up, everybody? It's the pre-lock show for Showdown here on Thursday night. Gonna break down this little Tampa Buffalo game for you. A little fun we're gonna have tonight, and see if we can't pull off some winners. As always on the Thursday show, joined by Kyle Murray, projections guru here at RG, doing his thing, and got to do a show with him earlier for college football. We're running it back here for Showdown, and I forgot to ask him, man. It just slipped my mind because so deep into the college football talk. What's going on there, brother? I see you got a little flavor saver up there, brother. What's going on there?
Yeah, just trying something new. Halloween's coming up, so may or may not be part of a costume as well. But this is the longest I've gone without shaving, actually, because I don't really grow a beard out too well or anything. But I was like, yeah, I'll try the mustache for a minute, and so this is about a week of work, so still a lot left to be desired here, but we're giving it a try.
Yeah, looking good. You're wearing it well, man. But guys, as always, this Monday, Thursday, Sunday Showdown show. This is about you guys and the questions. I could sit here and go over every player in the game. That wouldn't be too much fun, though. Prefer you guys get in that chat, ask some questions, fire away, one-on-ones, 2v2s, anything you want, strategy, anything. We got 33 minutes until this thing locks down on DraftKings and FanDuel. We'll be here right up until the very end of it, doing our thing here. So get those questions in there, and we'll figure it out. So we're on kind of late, so close to the bump. We've got the inactives out there, just taking a gander at it. Buffalo, I'm not seeing a whole lot that really moves the needle. For Tampa, Sean Tucker's out. He wasn't doing much. He wasn't playing very many snaps recently anyway, so I don't think that's the Vita Vea's out. So that's an interesting one right there. It's little things like that matter, but we'll get into that and how that may impact this game later on with some more plays. But we can figure this thing out on the fly here. I got a question from Discord. Our friend Brad Collins always asks some good questions here. DK, small field, single entry. Who scores more? He's got a 2v2 for you. White and Godwin, or Evans and Bass, going with a little kicker action.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Godwin and White side. I think not only do they project a little bit better from a floor perspective, but also, the ceiling, I think, is a little bit higher with both of those guys as well. So I'll take the non-kicker version of that 2v2.
I like it. All right. Fire off those questions, guys, and we'll get to them all. And, we'll have a little fun with this thing. Nathius J is in the chat. Better wide receiver 3, Gabe Davis, Trey Palmer, or maybe Hardy. Maybe he throws Hardy in there at the end. You got 3 choices there. Which one you like better?
Yeah, I like Gabe Davis. I like Davis more than Palmer. I think he meant Hardy or Palmer. And with that question, if that's the question, I would take Palmer slightly over Hardy. I've liked what I've seen from Palmer. I think Palmer, we've seen up and down rolls with some of these receivers getting banged up for the Bucs there, but he's played well when he's gotten the chance, and I think that on a showdown slate, this could be a perfect spot to finally use him. So I'll take Palmer over Hardy here. He's more of a gadget player, but price considered, Hardy's a lot cheaper, but I like Palmer more. So if price doesn't really matter for you in your lineup, I'll take Palmer.
And I saw Godwin with a questionable tag leading into the game, and so maybe that affects Palmer too in a positive way. If I know he's active, but you just never know how these guys feel. If they're questionable for a reason. So, yeah. Again, guys, you're in the YouTube chat. Go ahead and fire off some questions, and we'll get to them all later on. As soon as they start to pile up, I'll keep track of them all, and we'll figure things out. Until that time comes, let's talk about some players in this game. First of all, we got looks like about a 8.5 point spread or so, 43.5 point total. I'm looking at lineup HQ right now, so it may not be the most up to the minute line, but looking at that line right now, Buffalo at home hasn't looked particularly good lately. You have a lean on either that spread or that total in this game?
Yeah, I think I lean the under slightly here. I'm not Buffalo, I like their offense in general, but we were talking about it a little bit before we went live. I feel like Buffalo, they've been playing down to their opponents at times. They did that last year too, at times as well. Like even in that playoff game against Miami, obviously Miami without Tua, that's a whole different team, and they sort of let them stay in there. I feel like this is kind of how they've been over the last year or so. So I like the under in this one actually. Tampa Bay I think has a pretty solid defense. Buffalo's defense hasn't been as good as they were last year. They've been banged up a lot, but I still think that, in general, they're a good defensive team. McDermott's a good defensive coach. So I lean the under. If I had to take a pick on the spread, I would pick Tampa to cover, just because, if the game is a game that doesn't score as many points as the total's probably expecting, it's probably easier for Tampa to stay in. But I guess my best lean or my favorite lean, if having to choose one, would be the under in this one.
Interesting. Interesting. Unders are good. I kind of looking at it like Buffalo's had a rough couple of weeks, and I think maybe they bounce back. But
Yeah.
Tampa surprised me, and they've been solid with Baker. Baker's he's not great. He probably wasn't worth a number one overall pick, but he's solid, man. He's there, and so it should be a fun, interesting game. Just curious. We got a couple of quarterbacks starting this weekend that, in a similar vein to Baker, they were taken early and they really never panned out. What do you think? What do you think Darnold's going to do this week with the 49ers?
I'm really curious to see that because,
Yeah.
Darnold is a guy who has been fine at times. Obviously he's been really brutal at others, but we saw, Purdy came out of nowhere last year. Maybe
Yep.
Darnold can do the same thing and sort of repeat the cycle. I mean, that's a really good system to step into. So
Yep.
I would not be surprised if Darnold flourishes.
Good coaching, man. Good coaching. You'll be surprised that if you have bad coaching, people write off quarterbacks or certain players all the time. It was just bad coaching, and they get in there with good coaches, and all of a sudden you see a whole different player. So we'll figure that one out. All right, we got. Let's talk about some players from tonight. Let's talk about captains on DraftKings. First of all, yes, Mr. Jenkins, I see you lurking in chat. For sure. I'm going to say I want to give everybody time. We're going to do the Plums play of the night here eventually. Just in case it alters your lineup, what we say, I want to give you time to do it. So let's call it at the 15-minute mark. We'll do the Plums play of the night. But without giving too much away, we'll go through here and shoot through some players and see if we can't figure some things out. Let's cover the big scope first. The macro version. Captain on DraftKings. Give me a few leans here that you feel good about captains on DraftKings.
Yeah, I've been, especially in single entry or if you're building just a few lineups, I've really liked, using a pass catcher or a running back in the captain spot. A lot of people are going to levitate to the quarterbacks, and rightfully so, especially in a spot like this where it's Josh Allen. But I think Diggs for me would be the optimal cash the optimal single entry type captain build there. I would start with Diggs. After that, I like Mike Evans quite a bit here. I think he has a nice little ceiling. Talked a little bit earlier about Buffalo dealing with some injuries, including Tre'Davious White no longer playing this year, obviously with the torn Achilles. So that's been a brutal loss there for Buffalo. So I like those receivers, Diggs and Evans. Those are probably my two favorite, more standard optimal type plays. But when you go down the board a little bit, and if you want to get a little bit contrarian, Dalton Kincaid's a guy that I'm looking at as a possible MVP captain type play tonight. And I usually don't like to, drift too far down in terms of salary, just because I view it as a lot of the times the winning lineup is likely going to have the captain be the highest scorer on the slate. And usually you don't see that with that possibility being too often down the board in terms of salary. If the game is going to be lower scoring, I could see Kincaid rattling off a game where he's in the top 2 or 3 in terms of scores, overall scores. He had 8 catches, 8 targets last week, 75 yards with no Dawson Knox here. I do think he's going to have a massive role here. And I feel like Buffalo's been sort of waiting to unleash him and slowly letting his sort of work trend upwards. And now this is just a chance with the injuries. He's the only tight end active on the roster. He should play as many snaps as he can really handle. So he should be out there a lot. We know he has a lot of athletic ability. He should be involved in the red zone because Buffalo always includes their tight ends in the red zone. So I think Dalton Kincaid is in for a big game here. So I would definitely have him in the player pool as well.
All right. Then, everybody wants to find that $200 guy that does something and just absolutely helps with the rest of your lineup.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for the cheap salary savers here, looking at some of these guys. I mean, who's your favorite one? I want to ask specifically about Keyshawn Vaughn. We got Sean Tucker's out tonight, inactive. Does that bump him a little bit enough that his $600 salary moves the needle for you? And if not, who's like the cheapest guy you're willing to go tonight?
Yeah, so this was actually a bit of an argument that we were having, or not really an argument, more of a discussion in the projection Slack, talking about these Tampa Bay running backs because it's pretty important for this slate with Vaughn being 600 and Chase Edmonds being 200. But both of these guys are going to be active. I don't really have a great feel on who's going to necessarily earn a role. Like we've seen Vaughn have a pretty solid role behind Rashad White there with Edmonds out, but in the first couple of games, Edmonds had a pretty solid role as well. I think I give the slight edge in my personal lineups to Chase Edmonds because he's a little bit cheaper. I don't think the price really matters a whole lot. It's $400 on a showdown slate. It doesn't really matter a ton. But I think Edmonds probably has the advantage in terms of getting third down and pass catching work. So I think Edmonds is probably my favorite cheap $200 option. And then I think a really sneaky value option is Reggie Gilliam here. He's a running back on DraftKings, but he's actually a fullback. But he's probably going to play some tight end tonight for Buffalo. And like I mentioned, Buffalo's like to use their tight ends in the red zone. Again, it's sort of like a complete off the wall play here with Gilliam, but he's also $200. I think he's also in play.
Interesting. What about our guy? And we've been waiting on this guy literally since the first day they stepped foot on an NFL field. Andy Isabella is active tonight and playing. Like, this is I don't want to say it's a good spot for him or a good, just in general, the coaching staff, the team he's with, the quarterback, probably as good as he's ever had. And he was a real high performer in college, and he just hasn't done anything in the pros. Like, could you foresee him doing anything for $200?
Yeah, I mean, so this is kind of strange because like there's really no need for them to activate him, just because they have 5 receivers already. So he's going to be their 6th receiver. So that tells me one of two things: A, they're probably going to run a lot of 4 wide receiver sets, maybe even some 5 wide receiver sets, like maybe spread it out like like an old college football playbook here. Or they have some design plays for Isabella because he's a guy who can return punts and whatnot, but he's not necessarily a huge special teams guy. So them activating him is likely because they didn't want to activate another tight end, probably because they felt comfortable with Gilliam playing at tight end at times, and also because they feel they can make use of Isabella. He's a big play guy. We've seen it at times, especially in Arizona. He made a couple of really big plays, fast, speed type burner guy. So yeah, I wouldn't mind taking a shot on him. I would rather take a shot on Isabella than some of these other 200 guys like the Tampa Bay receivers or Ty Johnson, like some of these guys. So there's a really good chance that he gets 0 points and he probably plays less than 10 snaps. But if in those 10 snaps he's out there for a design play or a big play, then obviously you can pay off that price tag in one catch.
Maybe they just got one special play drawn up for him, just one spin. That's all you need, man, for $200. If it hits, you're in good shape. All right, going to get to a couple questions here again, guys. Fire off those questions out there in the YouTube chat, and we're going to get to them. We got 21 minutes left here. Alan S. Palmer or the Bills defense on DraftKings in a GPP?
Sorry, it was Allen and who?
No, Alan S. is the guy asking
the
question. Okay. He just wants to know. I'm supposing that's Trey Palmer, or the Bills defense. It's a GPP.
Yeah, I'm gonna side with Palmer again. I think there's a lot of risk with Palmer, but I think that even so, if he does find the end zone, if he racks up 3 or 4 catches, even that is provides a higher ceiling than with the Bills defense. And I think the Bills defense is in a fine spot. I just tend to shy away from the Bills or just any defense in general, just because of the lack of ceiling there.
I do too, but I will say that number one, the Bills have absolutely broke a slate this year on defense on the main slate. They have it in them, and we're going against Baker Mayfield. You just never know. Yeah. And I would even flip it to the other side to the Bucks, who I don't really love in general, but man, Josh Allen can be extremely prone to bad passes and throwing interception. I think both defense are absolutely in play for probably lower ownership than what they should be. Even though I'm not even a big defense guy in Showdown, but I think it's in play tonight. But yeah. I think Palmer too. Palmer's fine. Kevin Wright, he wants to know, are we playing 5-1 stacks? I'm assuming he wants the Bills 5-1 stack. I don't think he wants the Bucks 5-1, but what kind of like stack 5-1, 4-2, 3-3? What kind of roster stuff are you looking at? What has mostly fallen in line for you when you build lineups?
Yeah, I think for the most part, it's been the 4-2 on the side of Buffalo for the lineups I've been building. I do think 5-1 is fine, and I do think that even in certain game scripts that you're building, 3-3 are fine. I probably stay away from the Tampa Bay onslaught builds, but yeah, 5-1 for Buffalo I think is fine. I mean, with the team totals being where they are, 26.5 for Buffalo, 17 for Tampa, that is more than enough reason to have that. But also, after you consider Evans and Godwin, those two are kind of 50-50 in terms of their, they both get targeted pretty equally. So you can sort of make a case for just, taking a stand on one of those guys rather than both. And after that, the production from Tampa kind of falls off, especially after Rashad White. So, yeah, I think the 5-1 and 4-2 for leaning Buffalo are more than fine tonight.
Yeah, our boy Butthole Jenkins in chat, he says he's thinking Rashad White is the top scorer for Tampa tonight. I mean, there's definitely scenarios where Rashad White is the top scorer.
Yeah.
Baker's a quarterback's always going to be in play. After that, Mike Evans is he's good, man. He's really good.
Yeah.
He's done it again this year. He's back in the mix. Godwin hasn't had the year I thought he would. I thought Baker would really have a connection with him, check down kind of stuff, intermediate routes. Hadn't happened. It's been Evans. So after Baker, after Evans, I think Rashad White is definitely in line to be the top scorer for Tampa. That's one way to do it too. You're 5-1 and put Rashad or Mike Evans or just one Tampa guy up in captain and kick back and see how it works. You just never know. All right, we've got a couple more questions here. Third Fret Capo wants to know Sherfield, Hardy, or Shakir.
Ooh, that one's tough. So I guess the way I would probably want to approach it is sort of knocking one out at a time. I think for me, I would lean Hardy. We've just seen him be a little bit more involved in terms of design plays in general, but they're all kind of similar. So yeah, but I'll take Hardy slightly.
Man, I've been waiting for Shakir to break out for it. Well, he actually has had a couple of decent games in the NFL. But man, he was so good in college. I've been waiting for him to break out, but hopefully it comes sometimes. Hopefully he gets enough run. Brickett Jensen was asking about Andy Isabella. We just kind of covered him for that price tag. We're thinking limited snaps, but there might be a reason why he's active tonight. And yeah, just one play is all you need. So I think he's definitely at the $200 range. He's right there as somebody you can take a shot on in GPPs. Greek Hippie wants to know Auden at tight end for Tampa Bay. Is he in play? He has had I don't want to say disappointing because I didn't really expect much out of him, but he hasn't exactly lit it on fire. But it's a showdown. Anything could happen. What do you think about the Tampa Bay tight end situation?
Yeah, I was looking at him. I took his under on receptions last week, and he made me look foolish. And this week they came out with a 3.5 catch prop on Auden plus money, but still, that goes to show that he's in line to rack up 3-4 catches tonight. So I think he's more than fine. I think the price is actually pretty good. The only issue that I have is, like I mentioned, with some of those builds that I've been having, 4-2 Tampa Bay. I'm not really desperate to get a whole lot of Tampa Bay exposure, but I will say I like Auden more than these secondary Tampa Bay receivers, and he's cheaper than some of them as well. So yeah, I think he's definitely in play.
All right, keep those questions rolling in, guys. I'm keeping track of them all. We got about 15 minutes left. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes, then we'll drop the plums play tonight. Angel wants to know Gilliam and Evans or White and McLaughlin. FanDuel, large field GPP.
I'll take the Evans side just because I do think, even though Gilliam is, far riskier in terms of getting a 0 than McLaughlin or White, I just think Evans has that true 20, even 25 point ceiling tonight. So I'll take the Evans side.
New check the scores is dropping a couple of things in here. He's asking about Kincaid. We kind of talked about him earlier. He's definitely in play tonight, right? Kincaid's definitely a guy that you could put in there.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Kincaid, I think, is one of my potentially favorite plays. He'll probably be a guy that I have the most out of a lot of these players, especially in the mid range. I'll have a lot of Diggs and Evans, but after those two guys, Kincaid might be third in terms of my exposure.
Big Hurt has joined us, and he is a FanDuel guy. So we're going to get to some FanDuel plays for him. Let's talk about FanDuel. He typically plays the single entries on FanDuel, so you don't have. We're not chasing the $1,000,000 where you got to beat out so many people. Single entry on FanDuel. Who's your favorite MVP? And then if you're playing that guy in MVP, who are you running? Who's your favorite flex to go with that?
Yeah, I think when we talk about FanDuel, we talk about it a lot every show. Yeah, there I'm looking for touchdown equity, those sorts of players, just because of the the lack of PPR and the lack of bonuses. You kind of got to think of that. I think Allen is the go-to single entry sort of optimal type build, but I would like to flip that on its head and sort of go with Diggs and then put Allen in as a flex option if you're looking to be a little bit different there.
I would say FanDuel single entry. All right, Allen, man, just the clear cut, projection leader tonight. It's not
Yeah.
even close. And typically on FanDuel, you want, you're not worried about the salary of it, and it's tough to get away from Allen. But even in single entry, if it's a larger field, maybe I ought to switch it up and hope Allen draws so much ownership and play Baker Mayfield. I'll still stick with the quarterback position, but I'll play Mayfield, who has not quite like Allen, but he still has that ability to get around the goal line, 5 yard, and he can still run it into.
Yeah.
He's sneaky athletic too. So let's go Mayfield. And if I'm playing him, I want to pair him with a wide receiver. Man, it's tough to get away from Evans. Big catch Evans, man. Like his style fits FanDuel so much better than anybody else because of the long touchdowns, the yardage he eats up, and everything else. So I think Mayfield is just different enough in single entry that you can play a chalky Evans and still run. So we got that going for us. TJ's asking you a question, man. He wants to know, and this is the third thing, I think it's the second or third time he's brought this up. So some stalker things going on here, but he wants to know, are you avoiding him? And why do you guys never do a show together? And then he said something like, the young guys need to do a show together. What's going on there, Kyle?
I don't know, man. Hey, I don't make the schedule, but I'm always down to do a show. So yeah, anytime they want to put me on the schedule, I'll be there. I guess hopefully it's a sport that I know and understand, but if not, I'll just get out there and I'll provide a little bit of entertainment, hopefully. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay, TJ, you got your answer, man. So I think your next step is to go to the producer Devin, the schedule maker, and say, hey, man, slip him a 5 spot and go, can you put me on the schedule with Kyle, man? I really want it. So and that's how you get it done. J3, he points out we're going to do the plums play of the night here, but he wants to feel Dean's plums, and I don't know what's going on there, J3, but I don't know if that's the path you want to take right there.
Yeah,
but
he'll have to fall in line. There's a long line of people who want that.
There's a long line around Costco on a Friday night for him, man. But we got all right. It's 11 minutes, man. We got to drop them now, just in case this is going to affect anybody and they want to throw some an extra lineup in there or something. I'm gonna start off with you. I'm gonna let you lead the way here. Plums play of the night. Kyle Murray, take it away.
Yeah, a lot of pressure because last week I said ETN, which wasn't all that contrarian or anything, but I did say he would score 2 touchdowns. He did that in the first quarter. Didn't really do a whole lot in the second half, which is a bummer. But I'm gonna go with Mike Evans tonight. I like his upside here in this one. I mentioned the injuries that Buffalo has been battling. I do think Tampa Bay is going to fall behind and be forced to throw a little bit. But just in general, I think Mike Evans has a really nice ceiling here, and I do think with the quarterbacks and with Stephon Diggs being a little bit more popular, Evans will be a little bit contrarian here, get a little bit unique. So I like Evans. I think he has 100 yards and a touchdown here tonight, and I think he's a really interesting captain option.
I like it. I'm just a huge Mike Evans fan. He's from my hometown, Galveston, Texas. So I'm a big time. Been a Mike Evans fan since he was at A&M. Love that call. I'm gotta drop my plums play of the night. I don't know if you guys saw my video earlier, but I'm sticking with my video, man. James Cook. Let James Cook. Listen, I knew he was going to have a bigger role coming into the year. It's kind of surprised me. It's been this big. It's actually a really nice role he's carved out for himself. Most weeks he gets, unless the game script says otherwise. He gets plenty of carries, double-digit carries, very, very, very much involved in the passing game. I like that tonight. With Damian Harris banged up recently, I think it helped him out even more. And so, and also, you get around the goal line, and I think we assumed Harris was going to be brought in and just he was the goal line hammer, but Cook gets some action around the goal line, even in the passing game. So I'm going James Cook here. I also, it's the competition here. Number one, Vita Vea is out. We talked about that in the actives. That is one of the best run stoppers in the middle in the NFL. Maybe that helps James Cook. But even if they're still very stout on that defensive line, that helps James Cook. Because now we got to get him in space, and we're not going to, bang these, Latavius Murray's up the middle for 2 yards to carry all night. We're going to go James Cook. So I like James Cook tonight, guys. We're almost wrapped up here. More questions, please get them in. We're going to answer them. But to recap the Plums play of the night, if you're just getting here, I went James Cook. Kyle went with Mike Evans. So that's what we're rolling with tonight. Sage Terrell, what about Tompkins tonight? What are you feeling about your boy Tompkins?
Yeah, I think if I was messing with the Tampa Bay secondary receivers, outside of Mike Evans and Godwin, I think I prefer Palmer slightly. But I do think Tompkins and Palmer, like those guys, just for a little bit of peek into the model, we have those guys projecting for a very similar target share. But like I said, you do have Kate Otten, who's a little bit cheaper, who I think I would like even more than those ancillary receivers. But Tompkins, I think, is fine. If you have him in 150, but I guess I would prefer Palmer and Otten over him.
Yep. All right. TJ says, I did not know this. He says he has a baby on the way. He needs more shifts. I did not know that, TJ. Good luck, man. I mean, congratulations are in order for you. And I got some news for you, brother. Things are going to change, brother. Things are going to change. So live it up now while you can. Ruken Verde is in chat. Josh Allen at captain with Godwin or Rashad White at captain with Josh Allen at captain with Godwin, run back with Godwin, or Rashad White at captain with Mike Evans and Josh Allen in flex. If you can get all that. I don't know if you got all that.
Yeah, I'll take the Allen in the captain side. I like White tonight, but I think I like him more a little bit as a flex option rather than in the MVP or captain.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I actually think, he's chalky, but Godwin in the flex probably won't be as chalky, maybe. I don't know. Arrived late to the show. Any Chase Edmonds loves. Doug Harrelson wants to know. He's arrived late. Chase Edmonds, we did talk about him. You can recap your Chase Edmonds. You kind of like him tonight.
Yeah, I think he's probably my favorite, triple digit in terms of salary play, $200. Again, I think he has a slight edge in terms of getting third down work over Vaughn. A little bit worried about him returning from the injury, so maybe Vaughn just sort of sticks in that role. So there's definitely a lot of risk here. But again, he's only $200, so I think if you're trying to fit some big time salary players in there, he makes sense.
Tony 2 times is in chat. He wants our World Series prediction. So I'm gonna let you give your World Series prediction. What you got?
I think Texas wins, but it would be a pretty cool story if Arizona wins. But I got Texas winning. They just look unstoppable right now.
I tend to agree. The Rangers look really tough. They have a lot of advantages on that field in that lineup. But yes, it would be very, very interesting, very cool to see Arizona pull off the upset again. I mean, I remember way, way back in the day when they did that to the Yankees. And so, yeah, I'd like to see that again and just flip the whole thing on its head. So that'd be interesting, but I kind of think that the Rangers are the force that they're not going to be able to stop. But then again, I did not think they had a chance against Philly, and they pulled it off. All right, guys, we got about 5 minutes left. I'm not seeing too many more questions in here, so I think it's time for us to get out of here. I'm going to let Kyle give his send-off here of whatever he wants to say to wrap us up on this showdown slate.
That's a lot of pressure. I'll just give you a lot of props for the flavor saver comment that got a lot of love in chat, and then I saw something the womb broom. So those are pretty good. So I'll just say thank you for the laughs and good luck to everybody.
Yeah, it's good stuff, guys. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll be back. I'll be back on Monday. There's a show on Sunday night too. This is a fan viewer driven show, so always join those chats. Good luck in those GPPs for Kyle Murray. I was your host, Head Chopper. We'll be back next week, but for now, we are out of here.